my ship, distracted, like something's at my door, always calling me outside to something more. But I opened the door, there was nothing there.
My name's Rick Anthony, and I'm half. I was going to say one half of Afterlands, still kind of in the Phantom Band and Rick Redbeard, and Afterlands is a new project. But I should tell you about my day because that's more interesting. I got up quite early and I did loads of painting yesterday, so I was checking the paint and that was all quite good. So I didn't have to do any more painting, which was the first good result of the day. Then I went on a nice walk, which was good. The girls were out on their scooters, and then came back and my wife made pancakes for lunch, which was fantastic. So I've been eating a lot of pancakes and maple syrup.
I had a worse breakfast. I only had Shreddies this morning because I was up and out early.
I should clarify, I didn't have pancakes for breakfast, I had pancakes for lunch.
Oh, I see. Right, okay.
I also had breakfast.
Okay, well, I am David McAulay. I am the other half of Afterlands and also formerly of a band called Strike the Colours, another band called Terra Diablo. I'm also a film composer and sound designer, and I've been in my studio all day as pretty much non-stop for the last couple of weeks doing sound design for a nature film I'm working on at the moment.
Did you go out of your studio at all?
No, I've done a couple of laps around the block just to get some fresh air.
Okay.
I went out with my film camera this morning when the sun was out.
All right.
First thing for a wee
there you
walk.
go.
Yeah, no, that was interesting, I guess, because the cherry blossoms are out and they're always fun to photograph.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a tree that there's only one branch that's got cherry blossom on it, and the rest of it looks kind of like it doesn't want to come out.
Because you were worried, weren't you? You were worried that basically the nature was over.
I think nature is over, but the cherry blossoms are fighting hard. One tree's coming out, which is good, but it's just one other tree I've got. The one branch is all flower, and one branch is just, the rest of the branches are just not coming out, which is really strange.
My street's full of them, and they're all coming out now. So don't worry, I'll get up to you in Stirling soon.
Did it get the train? Did the blossoms get the train up? It stops at Dundee.
My ship, distracted, like something's at my door, always calling me outside to something more. But I opened the door, there was nothing there.
Well, we met in Chem 19. I used to work in there as an engineer, recording whoever would come through the door, and the Phantom Band were often in when I was in. I used to talk to Duncan. I was also doing film soundtrack work and stuff like that when I was in there, and Duncan always seemed to kind of be sniffing around, and he was always interested in what I was doing. So I used to talk to him a bit. I don't recall us ever talking that much in Chem 19.
We had loads of good conversations.
Did you?
I'm a bit hurt that you don't remember that. Remember that time we talked about cherry blossoms?
Okay. Well, no, I don't remember it. It didn't leave an impression on me.
Rude. I think that was maybe the once, wasn't it?
I recorded some stuff for you guys.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Because we were using two studios at one point during recording the once, which was our second album. That was just quite a full-on session. We were using both Studio 1 and Studio 2. I think you were doing recordings in Studio 2, and then I think we had the drums set up in Studio 2, and then anyway.
Aye. So we met there, and then
Yeah.
we met again at Glasgow School of Art doing a master's in sound for the moving image. And
Yeah.
I think it was that case of you had to do quite a lot of collaborative work, didn't you? Kind of like group work and stuff like that, make some films and do projects together. So we kind of palled up for some of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it was doing that. It was like realising there was collaborative potential.
Yeah. I think we worked pretty well together on all of those projects, and then you talked about doing some stuff together for ages. I had my first child in 2018, just sort of not long after finishing the course. We'd still talked about it for a while, and then eventually it was, I think the first stuff you sent through was in 2020, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Quite early on in the pandemic, you sent through a few files, which I would kind of write some stuff over the top of and send you back. And then I was also going through things I had recorded over the years, or ideas I had that I thought would maybe work, and send them over to you in kind of really rough form, and you would then take them away and kind of do something with them. From the very start, it was very collaborative, and then we kind of worked on it remotely when we weren't allowed to kind of meet up, and then when we were actually able to get into your studio together, that was when we started re-recording stuff and kind of building up on the really basic recordings we had.
The whole process was, for better or worse, defined by COVID. Sending things back and forward was just what we had to do, and I think that's kind of what we would have done anyway, but we'd have got into a room quicker. But we were kind of stuck doing that for like at least a year, I think.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and then we got to the point where we were really keen to just start getting in a room. We just met up weekly, didn't it? It was just Wednesday nights.
Yeah, that's right. Wednesday nights, every Wednesday night. And then started inviting a few other collaborators that we thought would bring particular things to the process and the recordings.
It wasn't a band, or it wasn't an album, or it wasn't Afterlands. It wasn't anything other than just, let's make some music. When it sort of became more obvious that it was going to be something that could be like a body of work, then we had to start thinking about a name. But that was, a ridiculously protracted process.
Yeah.
As was making the album. I mean, lots of shit happened during the making of that record.
Yeah, totally.
And it sort of encompasses a really big period of time where loads of shit was going on globally and in personal lives and stuff like that. So, totally. Some of these songs are now like 4 years old.
The 10th record comes out, it'll be pretty much 4 years since we started making it.
Yeah.
It was a slow process.
How the hours work their way to turn them blue. Oh, and now it's rainbow, born of our wants and our wives. Oh, and now and then we've got to slow down.
I don't think we were sharing influences at the start. In fact, I think I think in my mind I was like, I didn't really want to talk about influences. I think you were more likely to bring up a reference point. And I remember you bringing up like the Handsome Family, and I think we talked about Talk at one point, a drum pattern. I remember.
That's right. If we had particular points of reference, it was mainly to do with particular parts,
Production
or
stuff like that.
Production styles, rather than like necessarily the material itself, because the material felt very reactive and organic.
Yeah.
That kind of happened itself without us necessarily consciously thinking about, even though they'll be there, but we didn't necessarily consciously think about things. Obviously there were things like Whale Song, we wanted that to be a certain thing, and a certain sound that
I think we called that like a traddy song or something like that. I think we had a kind of name for it. We were like, we can afford ourselves to be a bit more traditional with that song.
Yeah, it was like a genre piece or something.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that was like, personally, when I started working with you, that was the opposite of what I wanted to do, which was like a kind of genre thing. It was more just about how could your voice become this kind of central idea in a record, and how could the voice be kind of situated in a musical space that I hadn't heard it in before. That was like what I wanted from the record. And I think that because we weren't a band in a room playing and fleshing out songs, and we were sending things back and forward, and some of the ideas were old and cross-referencing, but not really having reference points, that's how we ended up with songs like Nautilus and Geese that have reference points in them, because obviously our influences come out, but structurally and just what they are was just a bit weird and a bit off kilter, and I think we just I think we enjoyed that about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The stuff that I enjoyed the most definitely was the really organic, sort of natural writing where you're just responding to what the other person's done. So when you were sending things over to me and I was just sitting with a microphone coming up with ideas over the top of something that would quite quickly take shape and become a thing that wasn't necessarily how I was used to writing. Like for me being, sitting on my own in a room with a guitar kind of, or piano, kind of coming up with stuff. It was really enjoyable to respond to like a totally original piece of music that is nothing like anything I would write.
Yeah.
and often sort of texturally and sonically totally different to stuff I would be using. So I really enjoyed that process of it. And then obviously when we managed to get into a room together and start recording stuff again and fleshing out the tracks and inviting collaborators along to add things in again, that was like another step up.
Yeah.
I felt like with every stage the record became more sort of defined. Things like Geese, when we added the drums into Geese, and Nautilus when Johnny Scott did both of those, suddenly it was like, oh, that's funny, there's drums. And it became the tracks were totally changed into these totally different atmosphere. And then obviously Jill adding voice and violin to Whale Song and Ghost House, both of those songs were immediately elevated into something beyond what we could have managed ourselves. And it felt like every time someone came in to do anything, it was always the same. It always added a little something to the tracks that...
True. We had songs that were like, so for example, Rolling Waves, we had a kind of failed version of that. It's not that it was bad, it's just it didn't quite work, it didn't feel right. And this was towards the end of the process, and I was keen to kind of reimagine it. And, by that point, we were like working with Joe, and we kind of played in a room together, and we went to see Ian, and he recorded us live, putting down the track for that. That was like a new thing again, where we were like a band playing in a room, getting the basic tracks.
Yeah.
And then Pete Harvey playing cello, doing his incredibly expressive playing on that, just transformed the track as well.
In the blue, where maps are blind, the stars alone will be our guide. We want to reach what lies behind that endless veil on the other side of our minds. Oh, don't stay gone like a stone, all alone in the black of some wild sea.
I love Geese because it has a thread back to like other pieces of music that I've worked on, just the guitar parts and stuff like that, but it very much belongs in this Afterlands world. And I love how unexpected it is. Like, if you had heard a significant portion of what we've done on that record, you would never expect to hear something like that. I love how big it gets and wild it is, and I think we, again, for not doing that as a band in a room, we were able to really sort of convey that feeling. I always like recordings that capture that sense of wildness in them. Quite hard to do, and I think if you can pull that off, it's always quite gratifying. I really love Whale Song, and I love how delicate and sort of controlled it is.
I think Whale Song's definitely got a character to it that's very specific, and I think we managed to get it pretty well. That was one that we really took in quite a lot of different directions in the mixing. Then we brought it right back to this really delicate sort of torch song style production, I guess.
Red light shining on a window pane.
Red light shining on a window pane.
Red light shining on a window pane.
Red light shining on a window.
All I know is baby fire won't light. All I know is baby fire won't light by itself.
I think for me, I think Ghost House is maybe the one that I'm most pleased with. That was one that quite early on you sent over really nice sort of rolling parts that I thought, oh, this could be pretty good. It was one I really wanted to get a good melody on, and I think we nailed it. And then we suddenly decided, oh yeah, I thought this would be quite good as a duet, so I reimagined the lyrics as a sort of call and response duet thing, and sent it to Jill, and she was really into it, and then came in and recorded her parts and a bit of violin, and suddenly it was like, just really opened out and became this really beautiful kind of dark gothic country song, that the kind of music that I love to listen to sometimes. And it's got enough, I can be able to separate myself from it, because you kind of wrote the guitar part and Jill came in and did this extra stuff, and then the production of it's quite different, and I can really listen to it and enjoy it.
Our tired eyes watch the ashes falling from the sky like rain, falling from the sky like rain, and every scrap of grain was once something good we threw away, all to keep the blaze alive. On someone else's fire.
Nautilus I really like, because it was one of the really early ones we worked on. Maybe the first one we worked on.
Yeah.
One of the really early ones.
Yeah, it was the first track I sent you.
Yeah, there's not a sort of classic verse chorus structure. It's just this kind of rolling, unfolding sort of story that just takes the listener along. It doesn't actually kind of repeat anything. And it feels like a really big song condensed into kind of, I don't know, it's like longer than 4 minutes, but it just feels it feels quite epic, but it's really short. And yeah, I just quite like the kind of strangeness of it.
Yeah, I think the vocal delivery was something you sort of toiled with.
Yeah.
Didn't you? You were like, is this too earnest or something? And
Yeah.
like we pushed and pulled it quite a bit, but I think it was just again one of those things where you sort of nailed the emotion of it in the demo, and you
Yeah.
know, whatever you were doing there was something that was just quite genuine, and I think you returned to that. That really worked.
Oldest friend, I see you now in memories, running through the fields and climbing in the trees, light as a feather swirling up on the summer breeze. If it was nothing, it'd rise and from the ground be free. Oh, what I would give to once more up there be.
I think we're just looking forward to getting the record out and people hearing it, and then we're playing some live shows in June. Playing the Hug and Pint in Glasgow on what date in June?
So Friday the 7th, Hug and Pint in Glasgow, and then Saturday the 8th in the Tunnels in
In Aberdeen. Yep.
and then
And then
13th, Thursday the 13th of June is Leith.
Leith Depot.
Yeah. And then we're also supporting Johnny in London on,
Yeah.
I think that's the 28th of September, or Saturday,
That's right.
at King's Place. We'll get some more in the calendar as we go forward.
And writing some new material.
Yeah. You know, obviously doing these headline shows, I think I'd jokingly wrote, expect a career-spanning set. But then I've noticed that like one of the promoters had put that in the, I think it was a Hug and Pint,
Yeah.
expect a career
Yeah.
span. I don't know whether they just copy-pasted that just or whether they thought it was funny, but obviously we're a new band and we've only got one record.
Yeah.
So we've got new songs that we've been writing, and you know we need to play them so we
Yeah.
can do a headline show.
Because they won't pay it if you don't hit your 45-minute mark. They won't pay you.
But that's it, really. I think that's it. And there's a sort of small film project going on in the background as well.
Oh yeah.
That is, we'll be making use of our music. So yeah, plenty of things happening.
The winter lingered like a guest. We wished it long ago left. With his fingers round our necks, we saw the scale of the mess. Don't let this go by. Don't let this go by without a fight. by without a fight. Your instincts for a fate, they were never gonna be enough. For judging who to trust, and trusting those who chose to be the judge. We only have what you wanted. It's only rising and the end are all we ever wanted to be. Near the light I see you begin, and then I see you ending again. A cold black light on the wind, and it's only what you want.